against the rising young star. The two making their entrance into the stadium right now. Steffi Graf, just 16 years old, seeded second in this tournament, so the women have very much gone according to form. Evert Lloyd against Steffi Graf on an almost oppressively hot afternoon. The court temperature 92 degrees, the air temperature in the mid-80s. The International Players Tennis Championships coming up. Hello again, everyone. I'm Al Michaels, and welcome to a great weekend of tennis here on ABC. The women's final coming up with Evert Lloyd taking on Steffi Graf shortly, and then tomorrow at 1:30 Eastern Time, best of 5 for the men's championship to conclude this 2-week-long event in South Florida as #1 seeded and #1 ranked Yvonne Lendl tries to stay hot against the second seed Mats Wilander. That's all upcoming, but everything upcoming has been overshadowed by what took place yesterday. Jimmy Connors has been at the eye of several storms in his long and distinguished tennis career, but yesterday he went through a situation that will be forever ingrained in the minds of those who saw it. And I know many of you have not only read about it, but seen what took place on your late local news last night. So to review, with Yvonne Lendl leading yesterday in the 5th and concluding set 3-2 and 30-love, Lendl serving here. And this turned out to be the final point of the match. That backhand volley by Lendl. Connors thought it was out. It was not called out. It became 40-love, and Connors exploded. Immediately went to the chair, berated Jeremy Shales. And as we take a look at the replay, as is the case with so many replays in tennis, especially on baseline shots, completely inconclusive. Very close, obviously. In or out, who knows to this point. But Connors...
Delay of game. Point, Mr. Connors.
Assessed the delay of game penalty there to make it 4-2. Subsequently, Shales made it 5-2, and then made the announcement that concluded the match.
Game, set, and match, Lendl by default.
So Connors left, Lendl advanced to the finals, and after the incident, here's what the principals had to say.
I felt like that I was sticking up for my rights out there. I had enough. Had enough of that stuff going on out there. You know, I mean, if a guy's in the chair and the guy can't see, he's got that job to do, and he doesn't do it right, after 3 hours and 45 minutes of nonstop action out there that I'm giving and Lendl's giving, and then I've got to take a screw in like that, I don't put up with that anymore, no longer.
It's, you know, nothing I could do about it, and I think the umpire lost control of the match, and but at the same time, I don't feel that any professional should get himself defaulted over a bad call.
I didn't know what was going to happen. I just knew that the umpire was handling correctly, and we just had to go through the proper procedures. Whether Jimmy wanted to back off and play or have a confrontation, which he did, it was unfortunate. And he elected to not play, so we had no choice but to default him.
Per usual, Arthur Ashe is here to provide commentary for us this weekend. You have spent your whole life in and around this sport. What did you think of yesterday's incident?
Well, I think it was unfortunate for the sport and for the viewers and the fans here that the match was not taken to its conclusion. But I think what actually happened at the end was correct as far as the procedures were concerned, and I think tennis was well served for basically 3 reasons. I think the players, some of whom came up to me afterwards and said, you know, it's about time the rules were enforced. And funny enough, Connors, in a column in Tennis Magazine 3 months ago, said that there were 2 sets of rules in effect, one for the top players like himself and one for the rest of the players. So he was actually a victim of his own pronouncement. And secondly, I think tennis, which has been criticized for not being strict enough with the rule enforcement, yesterday showed that it would stick up for its own rules. I think thirdly, and something we worry about across American tennis now, and indeed possibly across the world, is that juniors watching this match be put on notice that that's not going to be tolerated if they become professional players.
All right, we'll talk about it during the course of the match, but with the women's match imminent, let me turn now to Pam Shriver, who will be with us providing commentary during today's matchup between Chris Evert Lloyd and Steffi Graf. What does Steffi Graf have to do to win today?
Well, Steffi Graf has the most explosive forehand in women's tennis right now, and she's going to have to use that today a lot to hurt Chris Evert. Now, she's also going to have to mix up the odd drop shot, come to net every once in a while. Chris is most comfortable at the back of the court, and if Steffi stays back there all day long, she's going to be in a bit of trouble. But I think Steffi's going to play a very fine match today.
By the way, we should mention Martina Navratilova did not enter this tournament, so Chris was ranked #1. At the age of 31, some think she's going downhill. Is she any more vulnerable to you now than she's been in the past?
No, the desire is in Chris Evert Lloyd all the time, and some of us wish it wasn't, but she's an incredible force. She's been #1 or #2 in the world for the past 12 years, and she doesn't look to be changing that.
Let's take a look right now at the two who will meet for a big purse, $112,500 to the winner. Chris Evert Lloyd can stay at home because she lives here in Boca Raton. Now 31 years old, seeded first. The world ranking, of course, is second only to Navratilova. And she's had a pretty easy time of it along the way. She has not lost a set. There were the results through the first 4 rounds of this 2-week-long tournament. She beat Terry Phelps 6-2, 6-love in the quarterfinals, then went to a tiebreak to beat Kathy Rinaldi the other night in the first set before sweeping her away 6-1 in the second set. And meanwhile, Steffi Graf of West Germany, who won that Olympic tennis tournament, of course, as an amateur. We mentioned she has not won a professional tournament as yet at the age of 16, seeded second. Her world ranking, oddly enough, coming out this week, 6th. At the beginning of this tournament, she was ranked 4th, so she'll be back up there again. And there is her road. She lost the first set that she played in this tournament, 1-6 to Melissa Gurney, but then beat Foltz, Gomer, and Moulton in the 4th round. And then proceeding onward, defeated Zina Garrison in a 3-set quarterfinal match. And then Helena Sukova 6-2, 6-1 in a semifinal match in which, following that match, Steffi Graf said, "That's as good as I can play. That's the best I've played ever." Fran McDowell is the umpire. And that was a very hot seat yesterday for the Connors-Lendl match. And again, Lendl will be taking on Mats Wilander in the final tomorrow of the men's tournament, which you will be seeing at 1:30 Eastern time here on ABC. As we get set for Chris Evert Lloyd, who was the runner-up in this tournament last year, losing in the final to Martina Navratilova, trying to win her 144th championship. And there is how they have fared head-to-head, Pam.
Well, they played 2 weeks ago in the finals of Virginia Slims of Florida, and it was a close first set. It was 3-all in the first set, and then there was a bad call, evidently, and Steffi got a little bit upset. Now, whether or not Steffi will play a mature match today or not, we'll see. But she definitely has the equipment to worry Chris. I talked to Chris in the locker room about an hour and a half ago, and Chris definitely felt under pressure in that tournament 2 weeks ago. But she said she played great tennis, and she's looking forward to a good match today.
So here we go. Hot, blazing sun. Court temperature in the 90s. First game of the best of 3. And low 15.
It'll be important in the first game for Steffi Graf to hit a few balls and not to go for too much too soon. It's very important to at least feel into the match after a couple of games with Chris.
Evert Lloyd is so tough to beat anywhere, of course, Pam. Is she any tougher at home?
Well, South Florida's been very good to her throughout her career, and I'm sure she's played more tennis in these conditions than the rest of us have in our whole lives anywhere else.
Right off the bat, 3 break points here.
And that backhand looked as though Steffi did not want to really commit herself. She could have gotten to it, but she took one step too few to get to it. Yes, there's that big forehand. It's obvious that Chris wants to play Steffi Graf. Is that true, Tom?
Definitely, and I think we're going to see her stepping into the backhand side of the court and moving around to hit as many forehands as possible. But Chris will be able to punish Steffi's backhand because she's got that tremendous cross-court two-handed backhand.
So it begins with a break for Chris Evert Lloyd in quest of the International Players Tennis Championship title in the second year of this tournament in Florida. We'll be back.
The Lipton International Players Tennis Championships are being brought to you by Lipton Hearty Soups, the soups that make winter a warm and wonderful place to be. By Shearson Lehman Brothers, Minds Over Money. By the Sperry Corporation. And by Lipton Decaffeinated Tea Bags, delicious and decaffeinated just for you.
Lipton tea you made, decaffeinated just for me.
Lipton, you made decaffeinated delicious, just for me.
Hey, Lipton, you made decaffeinated, just for me.
Great tasting Lipton decaffeinated tea. Real Lipton tea, delicious and decaffeinated, just for you.
Lipton tea you made, decaffeinated
Just for us.
This winter, escape. Come to where you can bask in the warmth that winter makes you hungry for. Where the pleasure is so real, you can taste it. Come to Lipton Hearty Soups. Great tasting getaways where you can wrap your winter appetite in extra hearty noodles. Dive into rich, thick broth. Luxuriate in the great taste of Lipton.
This hearty soup is just a ticket.
Come to where it's warm and wonderful. Come to Lipton Hearty Soups.
Chris Evert Lloyd serving second game. The 1,201st match of her career. Significant to note, we saw that graphic. Of those 1,200 career matches, Chris has won 1,095. And even Tommy Lasorda would be happy with that percentage.
Earl Weaver would be happy with that.
Yeah.
Let's see if Chris will pack up and leave, huh? That time we saw Steffi Graf take one of Chris's serves and pound it very hard, and it forced the error from Chris. And Steffi's going to need to do that throughout the match because Chris can start to double fault if she feels a great deal of pressure with the receiver.
Is there any chance at all of Chris serving and volleying against Steffi? Are we going to see that today?
Arthur, don't hold your breath. I don't think so. Chris, I've seen her be up matches 6-1, 5-love, 40-love, and she still does what she does best, which is stay at the back of the court.
When's the last time she played an even half a serve and volley game in a match?
Well, Chris has never served and volleyed. She'll serve and approach every once in a while. .40 in the second game.
You take another look at that backhand cross court, which she hits so well with two hands. Using two hands, she's able to catch it early, a bit earlier than someone, say, with one hand. And it was an unreturnable 15-40 rather. Second game, first set. Oh, caught Steph leaning the other way.
These are the points that are so important when you play against Chris. This is her third break point this game. She's already down a break. She needs to get back at 1-all.
does.
That was a nervous-looking backhand. That looked like she was sort of trying to pray it over.
I don't quite understand why Chris would want to change directions, go up the line with her two-handed backhand, which is not her favorite shot. Plus, it goes down the line to Steffi Graf's forehand, which is her big weapon. Maybe Chris is a little nervous.
Yes, it looked nervous. And she may have changed her mind in the middle of the swing.
So we start with a couple of breaks, 1-1. Best of 3 women's final.
Pam, I'm not sure if you were there, but when Chris played Tracy Austin for the first time in the center court at Wimbledon, that was another nervous time for her. Were you there at that time by any chance?
No, I started playing in 78. That was in 77.
All of us men players wanted to watch that because Tracy was up and coming just like Steffi Graf. Obviously, Chris had already made her reputation, and we sort of felt that, take a peek at Dandy Don there, that she would be a little nervous, and she was, humanly so. Now, I'm surprised that Steffi didn't try to go for that shot.
15-30.
She could have gotten to it had she stretched. As you watch Chris come to that on a cross-court forehand, Chris makes a diving backhand volley cross-court for a winner, which looks like Steffi could have gotten to it had she tried a bit harder. That is a big forehand.
It is a big one. I saw it 3 times last year in matches.
Boris Becker's got a big one. Maybe the Germans are just coming up with producing big forehands these days.
I think I'll go there and live for a while.
Becker was in this tournament, but was out early.
He lost to a 6'8" Czech boy. Man-child.
Oh, that ball was good. Ooh, that looks good.
So 2-1 in the first set. Graf will pay.
Consistency. Consistency is unimpressed with a single success. It confers medals only upon those who burn brightly with the repetition of achievement. It is more than a promise. It is performance over time. Consistency means never resting on your laurels, never taking your talent for granted. Consistency is the visible proof that we are as good as we think we are. Shearson Lehman Brothers. Minds over money.
Who says you can't have 100% imported hops and a less filling beer? Old world aging and a less filling beer. Smooth super premium taste and a less filling beer. Michelob Light, the best of both worlds.
Michelob Light, oh yes you can. Have it all.
Presenting the delicately seasoned taste of Lipton noodles and sauce Alfredo. Delicately prepared for you by Lipton. So delicious. So simple. Noodles and sauce Alfredo. One of the Lipton side dishes with that delicately seasoned taste.
Chris Evert Lloyd to serve now in the 4th game of the first set. Best of 3 women's final. International Players Tennis Championships. $112,500 to the winner. And a little bit more than $56,000 to the runner-up. Breeze has picked up, and that's helpful on a hot day in Florida.
Love 15.
If Chris is vulnerable, it's early on in a match. This whole tournament, she's struggled in the first set. I believe she's lost 26 games in the first sets of her matches versus only 8 in the second set. So Steffi is into the match now, leading 2-1, and Chris now needs to pick up and quit making some mistakes that are uncharacteristic.
Took advantage of that forehand down the line. She came in not fully expecting exactly where the ball was going to go, but she did come in, picked the ball off and overhead, hit it cross court to Chrissy's forehand and unreturnable. Love 30.
Love 40 now, and Graf has never won a set from Chris Evert Lloyd. We showed you head-to-head the 5 times Chris has won, and in straight sets on each occasion. And right now, another triple break point for Steffi Graf.
Chris is really struggling on serve. She's only won 2 points in her service game so far. Maybe this forehand of Steffi Graf's is on Chris's mind.
Game Graf. She leads 3-1.
And you mentioned before that you wouldn't be surprised to see Chris double faulting if you begin to think about Graf's forehand.
Well, the times that I play Chris, I try and come to net behind Chris's second serve, and when I do it effectively, she can throw in double faults. But, of course, Steffi Graf won't be coming to net behind Chris's second serve, but she certainly can punish the ball.
Chris's husband, John Lloyd, looking on. The door is now open for Steffi Graf in this first set. If I'd have asked you in the team set, Pam, Steffi Graf has one chance in how many to beat Chris, what would you have said?
Today, I'd say 1 in 3, 1 in 4.
Now that you've seen her in action, would you give her a better chance?
Well, it's so difficult because Chris can wear down opponents. Even if Steffi can win this first set, she's still got to play a terrific second or third set. And with the heat and all, Chris is very much used to these conditions.
I agree. Seen her down so many times against players like Steffi Graf. She came back, although she did slip a couple times last year. Lost the final to Tina Garrison.
Beautiful.
Beautiful pass. Steffi should have been there. At least she was leaning to that side, but not enough.
15-30.
You watch that beautiful passing shot again. Plants that right foot. Pushes off down the line for a winner.
I have nightmares about that two-handed shot.
Just back.
30 all.
Well, that time, Steffi Graf took a backhand and for the first time hit over the ball, hit the ball flat, drove it cross court, and that set up a couple more big forehands. So Steffi's obviously feeling very confident here.
Graf serving at 40-30.
Is there a book on, sorry, Al, is there a book on Chris Evert Lloyd, Pam?
Well, the book is not to miss too much, to serve well. For me, it's to serve and volley as well as I can, but for Steffi Graf, it's totally different.
Deuce.
But the players who have the best chance of beating a Chris Evert Lloyd are players like yourself, possibly, obviously Martina, Hannah Manlikova, who are very talented, hit the ball with one hand off the backhand, have an all-court game, and are aggressive.
That's right. It's very difficult to beat Chris from the back of the court.
Pam Shriver, who is currently ranked 5th in the world, joining us with the commentary today.
That was your basic practice routine. I think it was important for Chris to win that because that's her game. And if she outlasts Steffi Graf playing like that, it's like saying to Steffi, look, I'm better than you are at this type of play.
Chris had to hit a tremendous shot to win that point. Her shot looked like it landed right on the baseline, and Steffi gave a little bit of a look as if she wanted to hear an out call. So Chris with a break-back point.
That was wild.
He had a chance to bring it back to deuce, but instead Chris breaks back, and it's 3-2 Graf.
Graf leads 3-2.
Here comes cup of soup.
Nobody makes soup in a cup like Lipton cup of soup. It's good. Nobody makes soup in a cup like Lipton.
Lipton cup of soup. Zesty, hearty, perfectly seasoned. Anytime, any place.
Chicken noodle. Leave it to Mom.
Nobody makes soup in a cup like Lipton. Puts a smile on your face. Cup of soup.
Beijing. When the sun rises here, it will also rise in Mexico and Morocco. This is Epcot Center. And like the real world, it wouldn't wake up without Sperry computers. At Disney, fantasy is a very real business. And everything that helps management run the business runs on Sperry systems. Mickey Mouse is no fool.
Player has a look all his own. The Lendl Collection. Only from Adidas.
Well, our man about the grounds this weekend is Al Troutwig.
All right, Al, I'm in row 6 with John Lloyd, who, of course, is watching with great interest. John, we've watched a powerful forehand from Steffi and maybe a little bit of a slow start from Chris. What else should we be talking about this match?
Well, I think the way Steffi's playing at the moment, she's really going for broke, hitting a lot of flat shots and dominating the points from the beginning. I think Chris has got to somehow slow her up a little bit and make a few more errors. At the moment, Steffi's taking command of the match and he's very confident. Somehow she's